Okay, now let's start now. As we were discussing about the basic, rather, the parameters of statistics, like mean, median, mode, and we have already discussed about kurtosis, skewness. I told you that also. And we came to normal distribution curve, as you know. And Preetham, again, you have to keep the attendance. So please give me the attendance once again. And in the morning,
Okay, ma'am.
okay? And like what is a normal distribution curve and how is it, what is its importance in statistics? What are the important properties of a normal distribution curve? If you see in your book, in your blog, it is really written very clearly. What are the six? There are six properties of a normal distribution curve. Okay, actually I am not doing it straight out from your book, because that thing you will have it with you. What all extra things you need, that I am going to discuss. Okay, and if you have any question, if you want to have any question regarding anything, you can easily ask me. And whatever I will be discussing, everything is there in your book. So you won't have any problem when you are opening the book. Now, as I told you about mean, median, mode, so you asked me what about the even. I just show an example over here. Just a minute. Let me admit everyone who did ask me. So this mean, median, mode, how to calculate. You can see the screen over here. When you have an even set of data, first of all, I haven't told you that in the morning, so I remember that when you are calculating the median, you should have the data sorted. So that has to be done. Otherwise, you won't get the median of the data set, obviously. That is one point you should be having. You have to sort the data in ascending order. And suppose you have, see, there are, in this particular example, example 2, okay, what we have is there are even number of data. So in that case, after sorting the data, the middle of two numbers, I told you, middle two numbers is to be taken out, and the mean of that two numbers is to be done. So after that, what you get, whatever you get, that will be your median. Is it clear now how to find the median?
Yes, ma'am.
This is an important thing, how to find the median if you have a even number of data set or if you have a odd number of data set. Similarly, if you calculate odd number is not a problem. When you do the odd number, you just find out after sorting the numbers, whichever is in the middle, you just find out that one. That is the median. That is not a problem. And mode, suppose you want to find out the mode, that means the largest occurrence, as I told you, you have to find out which is the largest one. Now, it can be that
The
you can get two numbers are occurring for the same number of times. That also, these are the variations, different types of variations. Like here, I want you to find out the mode of the set. So how will you find out the mode of the set? How are you going to find out? Like
The number that occurs most often.
most, yes. So here 9 occurs the most. So 9 is the most. Now, what would have happened if 9 and 5 both had occurred twice, equal times? Then both of them will be the mode. So that is what is written over here. So these are some of the variations I wanted to show you. So this is all, and this mean. Now we come to this standard deviation. First, before we go over to probability, we need to know what is a variance and what is a standard deviation. Okay, so first of all, forget about everything. Yes. Anyone wants to say anything? I think all
Ma'am,
of you say yes. Yes. Say.
ma'am, is this as same as that of what we have learned in class 11?
Yes, some portion of statistics maybe you have done in class 11s and 12s. Those who have had maths, yes, you will be doing that in class 11s and 12s. But some portions are different.
Ma'am, we can solve these
Yes.
mathematics in that method also.
Sorry, I didn't get you. What is it?
If the question will be asked in the examination, we can solve it with that method we have solved in class
Yes,
11th or
I'm
12th.
coming to yes, yes. No, the what you are saying? The questions you had in class 11 and 12, it will be given in your BCA.
No, ma'am. If the
Then,
question that will be asked in the examination of BCA,
hmm.
can we solve this in the process that we have learned in class 11th or 12th?
Not all the questions. See, this portion, these are parameters of statistics, right? So these things,
Yes, sir.
these are standard formulas. Standard formulas are same for whether you learn it in class 9 or 10 or 11 or 12, or you are learning in MTech, MCA or BCA, these remain the same, right? Now the method of question, the what you will be asked for the question, that may be different. Now you won't be asked that calculate the standard deviation. You were given a set of number, calculate the standard deviation. That you did in class 11 and 12.
Ma'am,
Clear?
can we
Now,
use previous method?
yes, you will be using the same formula. You will be using the same formula. You will be using the same technique, maybe, but the question will be asked in a different way. The question
Yes,
is
I'm
not
not
of
talking
class.
about the.
Yes.
I was just asking that whether we can apply that method or not.
Yes, you can apply. That is what I am telling you. Because you are
Okay, ma'am,
using the
thank you.
same formula. What you have used in 11 and 12. The formula of statistics will never change. Right? Formula of statistics will
Okay,
never
thank
change.
you.
It will be same. Okay? Whether you are doing
Thank you.
PhD or whether you are studying in 11, 12, formula of statistics will never change. Clear? But your method of analyzing, your method of questioning, method, all this will change. Now,
Okay, ma'am.
but yes. Now, what we come to before we go over to probability, there are certain things which need to be done over here. And before probability, I need to explain to you normal distribution. And along with this normal distribution comes standard deviation and everything. So I thought it's better I start from standard deviation, then Z score and everything. And slowly you go on to normal distribution and then you go over to probability. That will be easier for you. Okay, and probability, I think those who had maths in class 11, 12, it's not a difficult thing for them. It's the same like that only you will have it, so it won't be a problem for you. Now variance, what you first in this normal standard deviation, the first thing which is very important term in statistics, that is the variance. Variance means the deviation of data from the mean. Okay, that is the variance you are finding. Suppose you have a set of data 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Okay, now these are the first 10 natural numbers. What is the sum of these first 10 natural numbers? 55, right? After this, wait, I some of you may not be, I just go back, just a minute. If I can start this whiteboard, it will be easier. Can you see the whiteboard? Can you see the whiteboard over here?
No, we have
Yes, ma'am.
provided a link.
Has it come?
No, ma'am.
It hasn't come.
No, ma'am.
Here's the link and access this. Okay.
Ma'am, it's saying to install an app.
Okay, wait. Mm. Then leave the whiteboard. Let me just open Word and I'm sharing that page. Will be better. So, in fact, suppose I am having numbers, say 1, 2, 3, 4 in this way. So, as I told you, I have till I have numbers like this: 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see the word screen, all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I add up this thing. How much do I get? 55. Okay. A mean of this, if I want to calculate the mean, I get mean as 55 divided by 10, and that is equal to 5.5.
5.
Okay. So, what is my variance over here? So, when I talk of variance means that is the deviation of this data. 1. What is the difference between 5.5 and 1? Okay. So, 5.5 minus 1. Right?
4.5.
Yes, 4.5. In this way, go on finding the variance, the deviation of the data, how much it is deviating from the mean. And so I'm getting a number for each one of them. Then I do 5.5 minus 2 in this way. And when I
Yes,
come
ma'am.
over here, I do first, I go on doing this. After this, I come to 5.5 minus 5. See what I'm writing. I'm writing 5.5 minus 6. I'm not writing 6 minus 5.5. That is wrong. It is always mean minus the number. So I get a negative number over here, isn't it? I will get a negative number.
Yes,
Let me get
ma'am.
the negative number. I will. That is the rule of variance. You will get a negative number somewhere. And then you go on doing that. This 7. So whatever numbers I am getting over here, if I add up this variance, how much do I get? Can you guess? How much do I get? If I add up this variance, all this deviations, how much do I get? Calculate and tell me. Calculate and tell me.
And do we get the mean?
No, no. This is how much? This is over here. I get 4.5. Okay. In this way here, how much do I get? 3.5. Okay. In this way, the next one is 5.5 minus 3. So I get 2.5, right? And after that,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
get 1.5. And after that, how much do I get? 5.5 minus 5. So I get 0.5. After that, how much do I get? 5.5 minus 6. So I get over
Minus
here.
1.5.
Exactly.
Negative
Minus
1.
1.5. Exactly. Then how much do I get? Minus 2.5.
2.5.
So now can you guess if I add up these numbers, what will you get? I'm getting like this. Tell me. How much do you get?
0.5
0.5
Minus 5.
minus
minus 5.
4.5 10
How much are you getting?
5.5.
You are getting
That
5.5
is, yes, ma'am.
minus 5.5 over here. Okay, because it is minus 10. 5.5 minus 10. So I'm getting this. So this all cancels out. This all cancels out. From one point, this cancels out, this cancels out. So I'm getting 0.5 and minus 5.5.
-5.
Minus,
-5.
so you are getting it now.
-5.
Okay. What we missed out over here is we didn't consider the 0. Right? If I consider the 0 over here, then what happens? What happens if I consider a 0? So 0, 5.5 minus
1 5.5 again added, so we ultimately get 0.5.
0.5.
0.5. 0.5 means I can say it is 0, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
if I add up the variance, I can say that I am getting something close to 0. I'm getting a 0, isn't it? And it is true for all the set of numbers. If I do it for other set of numbers, won't I get the same thing? Will I get anything different, or will I get the same thing? I am asking whether we are going to get anything different. One thing I have missed over here, 6, 5.5 minus, no, this is okay. Will I get anything different or not? No, I am not going to get any difference. So if I add up the variance like this, if I go on adding them up, then I will get something which is near to 0. Clear? So variance means this. Now, what do we do with this variance? We come back to where we started. I think I was sharing this screen over here. So this variance, when, wait, I think I have to share this. Okay. So when I'm talking of this variance, as I told you, it is a deviation from the mean. And when we add up all the variance, we get a value which is close to 0. Obviously, because we are having negative and positive values. So variance means this. Now, when we talk of standard deviation, what does it do? Standard deviation means you can say the variation in the set of numbers when we are trying to calculate what is the variation within this set of numbers. So that is a standard deviation. So here what we did is we are calculating, but we are calculating for all individual numbers. We are not considering this as a set. We are just saying this, there is a data, group of data is there, and we are trying to calculate the variance for individual numbers. But here we don't want to calculate for individual numbers. What we want to do is, for a given set, how do we calculate the deviation? So that is done with the help of standard deviation, and this is the formula. Now there are two kinds of formula, two formulas, not two kinds. There are two formulas of standard deviation. One is for the population, another is for the sample. Now, I have already told you in the last class what a population is and what a sample is. So this is the equation for the population, and this is the equation for the sample. Uh, there is another one for the sample as well. So I will show you, that is also there. Now, this type of question, now the question is what type of question are you going to get? I don't know whether you have done the assignment or not. Have you submitted the assignments? Uh,
Yes, ma'am.
you have done. So in assignment, you must have seen some questions on the standard deviation. I don't know whether you have seen it. Suppose I ask, there is a crate of apples are there. Now you have to check you have need to calculate the standard deviation of that particular crate of apples. Okay. Now, how do you do that? Now, if I say a crate of apples means it is a population. Now, suppose I say there is a crate of 100 apples and I take away 50 apples from that crate. Now, you tell me you calculate the standard deviation of that 50 apples. That means you are taking out a sample of 50. So now you are actually calculating the sample standard deviation, not that 100 in the crate. Clear? So, when you are calculating in terms of population, this is the formula. That means n is the total number of population. Okay, and mu is the average of the population. This is the mean. Average means it is the mean of the population. So this is they say mean means the weight of the apple. Obviously, if you consider the weight or the height or anything, it should be a numerical data. So this, and if it is a sample, it should be n minus 1. Instead of n, it is n, actually n minus 1. I show you the population, this one. You will find population and sample both are given. I don't know whether this will start. Let's see. Population and sample standard deviation. Here we have. So population standard deviation is this one is the population standard deviation and this one is the sample standard deviation. Now I think this is clear to you, isn't it? What I was trying to say. Is it clear or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now this sort of problems, these are very simple problems which you can have. So we are not concerned with them. These problems you can solve. These are nothing. As one of you were saying, 11, 12 standard problem. So these are nothing. For your BCA, you have some problem in your study materials. There are good problems in the study materials which you can practice. But these two equations are very, very important for standard deviation. Remember this. One is n minus 1, another is n. So you need to know, and when you are given a problem, you need to, it won't be told to you that whether it's a sample or a population. No one is going to say. As I have given you an example, for example, I have told you there is a crate of 100 apples and their weight is, say, total weight is 2000 or 200, say 2000 grams, or it is whatever it is, say uh, or 20 kg. I say it is a total weight is 20 kg. It's a crate of 100 apples. So number is given, total weight is given. So you can find out the mean. And then out of this, I am taking out 50 apples. Clear? Now I am asking you, you find the standard deviation of this 50 apples. The 50 apples weight, how much the 50 apples will weigh. Each apple, if you know the weight of each apple, then you can find out the weight of 50 apples. Right. So you find out the weight of 50 apples, then you find out the mean of that 50, and then you calculate the sample standard deviation. So questions will be like this. So don't expect that a set of numbers is given and you are just asked to calculate standard deviation. No, that won't be given to you. Okay. Now we come to normal distribution. And this normal distribution, this is the actually the normal distribution curve I was talking about the last class. And as you see, this curve is a bell-shaped curve, and you have two tails. These are the tails I was talking about. Two tails, and they don't meet the x-axis, but they remain parallel to the x-axis. That is, there are no change over here. Okay, so this point, the apex point, where the curve changes. See, the curve has changed from this inclination to this portion. And again, there is a point of influx over here. What is the point of influx? Where the curve changes like this, the inclination of the curve changes over here, then the curve changes towards this side. Again, it comes towards this side. This inclination changes. So these are the point of influx point where it changes. So this is a normal distribution curve. And you see, in a normal distribution, as you know, mean equal to median. This also I haven't told you. Mean equal to median equal to mode. It has to be. So there are 6 properties of a normal distribution curve, which if you say a curve is a normal, like in the last class, one of you were asking me, mesocotic, and this seems to be a little towards normal distribution. How will you judge whether it is a normal distribution or not? So you can judge a normal distribution curve by following the 6 properties which are given. And in a normal distribution, you will find this is a very important property, mean equal to median equal to mode. Okay, and problems related to normal distribution is the areas which are under this curve. Areas where the point of influx, as I told you, this curve, the inclination of this curve changes. Here, there is another, if you draw a line over here, and if you draw a line over here also, then what is the area covered over here? So that is one point. Another point is where this curve, see, it remains parallel to x-axis, suddenly starts increasing. So from here also, how much area is there? And after calculation, it was found that both sides, these areas are the same. So if I consider this into 100%, it's 100%. So this is divided into 50%, 50%. So after this, these areas are again divided. This 50 is again divided equally. Clear? So this is how we have this curve. So when we call a normal distribution curve, then we can have this proper. Okay, now we come to Z score. Is it clear? You have any questions to ask? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now we come to this known as Z score. Now, what is a Z score? I was telling you, you know about standard deviation now. You know about the area under the normal distribution curve. That also I have given you an idea. Z score is a measure of position that indicates the number of standard deviations a data value lies from the mean. So it gives you the position. That is, in terms of percentage, it gives you where in that curve, in that particular normal distribution curve, the data value will lie. Okay, so, and it is calculated with this formula, where obviously this is the value which you are examining, and this is the population mean, and this is the population standard deviation. So this is how it is being calculated. So you see,
Ma'am,
this is another.
ma'am, some people are trying to join.
Okay, this is a problem with this one. If I have to stop share this, and then I have to make them. Where are they? I can't see them.
They were writing in the WhatsApp.
But I can't see them. All have joined. There is no. I'm not getting any this request for joining.
3 people were asking. Anyone who has joined late?
Uh, I have checked everything. No one is there. I mean, there no one is waiting in the lobby. At least I can't see anyone waiting in the lobby. It seems all of you. 11 of total 11 of you. I think more than 11 are
Yes,
there.
ma'am. Around
Okay, okay,
5 minutes ago, they three of them
yes,
have
yes.
replied they can't join.
Okay. I have admit one of them, but I don't know whether others are still there or not. Actually, if I share the whole screen, then it's very difficult to see at that time
Yes,
who is there in the
yes,
lobby
ma'am.
or
Yes.
not. That is another thing. Okay, I think let's continue. If anyone wants to join, just tell me.
Okay.
Okay, so this is this portion which I was telling you, the area, how do we get the area and all. And now don't get so much frightened with this scores. The scores are calculated based on standard deviation z score. This area percentages are calculated. How much area will be, like I as I was telling you, 50% this side, 50% this side. It will be like that only. So this 50% obviously will be divided. How it will be divided? Like here, how it is divided? See, here, there is a point of influx over here. It has become steady, and again from here it has it again it has changed, and again it came over here. And as I told you, if this is the area, this is the point of influx over here, and this is another point of influx, these two areas should be same on both sides. So that is how they have shown you whether the areas, and the whole thing, if you add up the whole percentage of these areas, it will come to 100.
Ma'am, how can we assume the area from where to where we have to think it will be the same?
No, you are not thinking no, same means that is the
Ma'am,
property of a
le-
standard normal distribution. That is what I am
okay,
trying to tell you.
okay, okay.
The property. This is an ideal one I'm talking about. As I've told you in the last class, we don't get this ideal curve every time. Hardly it's
Yes,
very
ma'am.
getting as this ideal curve is something getting a what to say, getting the moon in your hand. Okay, so we don't get this ideal curve. Usually the curves are either negative skewed or positive skewed. That is how you get, or left leptokurtic or mesokurtic or left like this, like
Yes.
our COVID-19 curves. Okay, do you get a COVID-19 curve like this normal distribution? No, you won't get it. Will you
No,
get like this? You
no, no.
check.
No.
I don't think you will get. It won't be same. If you even if you calculate this areas, it won't be same. Like the graph, it is rising, rising at a steady rate, and again it is falling, falling at a steady rate. You won't get. There will be suddenly there will be an upsurge. There will be a down surge. Okay, so this is the thing. Usually that is quite practical. That is normal. That is normal. I mean, that is normal means in that way. That is what we will expect. We can't expect data to change very smoothly like this, and then we come over here as a smooth thing, and it will change particularly over here and this point, and again it will come back here, so that this is 19.1%, no less no more. It won't never happen. But in a normal distribution, these are actually the properties of a normal distribution, that the areas under the curve on both sides, this will remain the same. Then only we can say it is a normal distribution bell curve, and that is known as a bell curve because it is bell shaped. That's why. Now, you
Okay,
want
ma'am.
to know about this normal distribution, because in probability you will find lots of time to time it will come under this normal distribution. What is a normal distribution? And you will come after all this. So, and this site, if you want to note this site, this is a very good site, and they have told you how they are getting this area. If you calculate this area, how much do you get? All these are explained over here under a normal curve over here. So you can just, if you want, you can just, those who are interested, you can just go through it. This is an added, it's a reference to what you have in your study material. So you can easily go through. If you just note down the site, you can go through it. Or else, what I can do is I can share this site in the chat box. That will be easier for you, isn't it? I'm sharing it in the chat box. You can go through it, and then if you want, it will be a okay. Okay, now we come to where we have started, that is the probability portion. Okay, can you all of you see the PowerPoint screen?
Yes,
Probability.
ma'am.
Okay. Now we come to the, after all this discussion, we come to probability portion, where that is something which is most likely to happen. That is, in one word, we can explain this. And some of you have already done probability in class 11 and 12, so you can always understand what probability is. It's like something which is likely to happen, but we don't know how much it will happen or not. And in a probability, we consider event, sample space, outcome, trial. So these are the four basic things which we consider in probability. And next is an experiment. Experiment means experiment which will produce a probability that an event will occur. So when you are doing that experiment, you will have an outcome. Okay, and you will have the sample space, as I told you. So event is the experiment that you are performing. The sample space means where you uh, where you are performing your what are the basically the outcomes. Then sample space of 4. Suppose you are tossing 2 coins, okay, or you are tossing 1 coin. So the sample space means of either it will be head or tail. So head or tail is the outcome, but sample space of 2 results. So that is what is known as a sample space. And trials means how many trials you want to, whether you are flipping it once or twice, or how many times you want to flip. So sample space of a single coin. So see, the sample space of a single coin is head or tail. So head or tail, that is your outcome. Okay. So sample space is usually it is written with this curly braces. And probability of an outcome E is it is a number between 0 and 1, and it is usually denoted by percentage. So that is it. And probability of an event, and if you sum all the probabilities together in a particular sample space, what happens? You get 1. Okay, so that is another thing that you should know. So for this, you need to, that is a sum of the probabilities of the individual outcomes. Probability of an event is the sum of the probabilities of the individual outcomes. That means if an event is like this, okay, so once you even means when you are tossing the coin once, so the event is once. When you are tossing it twice, so how many trials you are taking? So here these are the summation. As I told you, you can sum up all this thing, and then you have the probability of this. Are you understanding what I am saying? Because If you don't understand anything, you can easily ask me. If you don't ask me, I will take it for granted that you have understood everything. That's why you are not asking me. So you see, A and B, they are the two events, and in this event, you have this this thing, the sample space are E1, E2, and E2, E3, E4. And here, what is the probability of this occurring over here? P1, P2. So PA means P1, P2, and PB means P2, P3, PB. Now we have to add up PA and PB also. Now this is my sample space actually. Okay. Now we are concerned with this particular thing, this event A, where we have event E1 and E2. Say A is one, you can say it is a one experiment where we are flipping the coin twice. And B is another experiment where flipping the coin thrice. So, what probabilities, how do we calculate at that time? So, this is what it's being done. And obviously, the sum of the probabilities that I just now, what I said is sum of the probabilities of all the outcomes will be 1. So it will come like 0 point something like this. And probabilities are always expressed in percentage. So it will come to 1. And there are some examples of this tossing a coin. And if you toss the coin, now tell me, coin has a head and a tail. Now, what is the percentage of getting a head when you toss the coin once? What is the percentage? That's the probability, rather, not percentage, probability of getting a head. What will be your answer?
50% or 0.5.
0.5, yes. It's 0.5. Now, head tail is also 0.5. So add them two, you get 1. So when you add the probability of all the outcomes, you get 1. Clear? Now, what about a single die? You can very much, most of you must have played Ludo. So you know how to throw, that is, what are the possible outcomes if you throw a die? Either it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now, if I tell you that, what is the chance of getting number 3? So obviously, any one of them will be 1 by 6 because there are 6 sides. Die will have 6 sides. Okay, 6 possible outcomes will be there. So the sample space will have 6 possible outcomes. Now, I think it is now clear to you with the trials, the sample space, the event, and everything, isn't it? Event is the throwing of the die. That is the event. And the sample space is within this, I mean, curly braces, how many outcomes you are having. And so this is the general formula. And next you have, so how many, this is a very simple question. What is the chance of rolling a 4? Now this is a very interesting one. It sometimes come in a theory paper. It's basically, I think it's a old theory paper only. There are 5 marbles in a bag. 4 are blue and 1 is red. What is the probability that a blue marble gets picked? How will you get this? There are 5 marbles in a bag. 4 are blue and 1 is red. What is the probability that a blue marble gets picked? If I have asked you what is the probability that 1 marble gets picked, that is would have been easy for you, isn't it? You could have easily answered. But if I ask you what is the probability that the particular blue marble will get picked, what will be your answer? You got my question? Those who have done a little bit of statistics in 11, 12, why don't you start? Try?
I'm 4/5.
4/5. Sure. Are you sure 4/5?
No, I'm not sure.
Not sure. Why? Why not sure?
Couldn't remember.
See, how many blue marbles were there? Four.
Yes,
How many red? One. So out of this four, even if you throw the dice if 4 times, okay, so it can't, blue marbles can't come more than four. Is the maximum is four, isn't it
yes,
or
ma'am.
not?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
so how that a chance of getting a blue marble is how what? Total number is four. So many, this is the number of ways it can happen and the total number. Total number is how much? Five, right?
Yes,
And number of ways it can happen. That maximum it can come four. So 4/5 simple.
5.
So you will never forget it like this. Even should not be any confusion about this. It's a very simple one. I'm not saying this particular question came in your BCA term and paper, but question like this, there can be a twist in this question, but more or less questions like this come in your paper, in your term and. So this is one, and this is another one. There are 10 counters in a bag, and red, blue, and green. The contents are shaken, and then you one counter from the bag. She will randomly she will choose. That this is a game. I think most of you have played during your childhood. That choose one gift. Okay, so you have to choose one. So now, what is the probability she doesn't pick a red counter? She will not pick up the red one. Okay, so she will pick up what? Blue and green. She will not pick up the red one. So think about this one. This is not a very difficult one. Basically, what you have to do is you have to think what is the probability of picking 2 and 5, and then if you minus it, this one, then you get the probability of not picking red, isn't it? Right? You got my point.
yes, ma'am.
You can try this out and tell me what you have got as the answer. So there are certain other this thing. Now, one thing I need to tell you that this one die, it has 8 equal faces. One is tampered die. Okay, this one balanced or fair. A coin is balanced or fair. Even a die can also be fair die. We say fair die and tempered die. Tempered means nothing. Suppose the number 5 occurs on both sides. Okay, but usually a die will have what? 6 sides, and it will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Suppose it has number 3 occurring twice. Maybe number 4 is not there. Clear? So those type of die are actually faulty ones, and questions may come, how what is the probability of 3 being occurring. So if you know the 3 is twice, so obviously it will be 3 can occur twice. It's not once now, it may occur twice, so it is 2/6 at that time. You got my point, what I am trying to say. And even for this coin, if it is a balanced or a fair coin, if it is a fair coin, then it will have a head and a tail. But if it is a tampered one, then what happens? Both sides are head. Then what is the probability that you are getting a head? So this type of questions are like you may expect them. And I want you to do that question. Okay, then we have the conditional probability. Conditional probability is basically the probability where we have an event A will occur provided another event occurs. Okay, if it rains, then I will not go out, and if it doesn't rain, then I will go out. So what I am doing is I am just depending upon a condition. Okay, so like here they have told you event A is that it is raining outside, and it has a 0.3 chance of raining today. So event B is that you will be need to go outside, and that has a probability of 0.5%. So if it rains, you may not go. So it depends on that probability whether it will rain or not. Because I said if it rains, it's not that it is raining and you said I won't go. No. If it rains, that means you are depending on that raining will start or not. So what is the chance of that raining will start, and then you have a chance of moving out. So that is a conditional probability. And we have this conditional probability, this formula over here. And Bayes theorem, if you have this Bayes theorem is of Bayes theorem. I haven't put that Bayes theorem, that is on conditional probability. So that one, when you have, I just show you one sum from here. There are two tests. Probability of passing both tests is 0.6, and probability of her passing the first test is 0.8. So what is the probability of her passing the second test given that she has passed the first test? So the probability of her passing both tests is 0.6. The probability of her passing the first test is 0.8. So you see, they are asking you the probability of her passing the second test. Given that she has passed the first test, obviously, if she doesn't pass the first test, she can't pass the second test. So, if she has passed this first test, then what is the probability that she will pass the second test? So, that is conditional probability, and this is the, you see the formula is given like this. Both tests, if you consider, so this is one, and the one which is given is over here. So probability of A given B will be equal to probability of A and B and probability of B. So if it is just the opposite, like B given A, then here it will be A over here, isn't it? So if you write P, you get this very, this should be very clear to you. This is the conditional probability formula. It's an universal formula. There will be no change in this formula. This is probability of A given B, right? Now, if I write B over instead of A over here, and I write A over here, then what happens? Then I will say probability of B given A, right? Now, what are the changes I should be making over here? This remains the same. Probability of A and B, this remains the same. Then this changes, this change. Probability of B, probability of A. That is probability of A over here. That means if I want to, here I want to find a probability of A, so this is the formula. If I want to find out probability of B given A, then here the change will be PA, right? So that is what they have done over here. Clear? So they have got the answer. So this is conditional probability. Clear? We have done a whole lot. You will find, I think we have done from first block, we have done 2 units today. So you can easily go through them now and go through the maths portion. Now, quickly, what I do is I show in Excel. I just open Excel and show you in a small way how to make the histogram, as I was telling you that time, that you want to, if you want to make the histogram, how are you going to create that histogram? That one I want to show you. Suppose this is my Excel screen and I take some data over here. Okay, so I go on taking the data. This is my data. Now, out of this data, I want to know what is the maximum. I will find a maximum value because I want to set the limit for class. So, from here, what is the maximum? So I get the maximum value 90, and what is the minimum? I get from here the minimum also I got, that is 12. Right. Now I want to create the classes. Now this is 12 and 90. So if I create between, I can take the class intervals at 10 also. So if I take it as 10, so if I write 10, suppose I write 10, fine. Then I write 20, I write 30, 40, 50, 60. You can take it more than this. You can take it as um, 20 or whatever. I just thought of taking this, that's why 90, and I have to take 100 because I have a data that is 90. And see, I have a data that is 12, so I have taken 10 as the class interval. So this is my interval. Now what do? I go to this view, this data. I have to find out whether I have this installed over here or not. Data analysis, otherwise I need to install them. Mm, I think I don't have this. Let me check. Okay. Okay, I don't have this data analysis section in my this thing. Then Excel. So what you have to do is there is a data analysis portion in this. Okay, this is there. It works. If it works, it's good. Oh, it's there. It's working. Good. Then you go to this histogram portion. Okay. Click on OK. Input range. Input range is this one. Fine. Bin range is this one. This is my bin array. The classes. That is my bin array. Fine. And next we have the output. Output, I select. Sorry, sorry, sorry. This one is my input. Done. Output, I select this. And I need a chart output. Okay. So we wait for it. And okay. Now see. What is this histogram that we got over here? It's a simple histogram. That means it is telling you how many numbers are between 10 and 20, 20 and 30, 30 and 40. In this way, it is showing you the numbers. Clear? And these histograms that you have got over here, what you are actually what you have to do is If you click here, format data series, no gap. I don't want any gap. So close this. See now the histogram. This is a perfect histogram. This is what I was talking about. Is that clear to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is all for today. I will stop over here today. And tomorrow again, there are certain other things about interpretation, analysis of data. We have to do that. We have to continue with a little bit of probability and then we go over to binomial and Poisson distribution. And then we continue with some of the interpretation. How do you interpret with certain methods, ANOVA and T distribution and all this? Okay, so I stop over here. Pritam, you will send me the attendance in my WhatsApp.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am.
Bye bye.
Bye, ma'am. Bye, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am.